Hi, I'm Dave and this is Dean and we're from Somerset Music. We're here today to talk about the new Fender Bassbreaker amplifier range. They've sort of been taking the world by storm a little bit, and most people that have tried them have sort of fallen in love with them. So we're here today to find out why.
So there's a few amps in the range. There's a 7 watt, the 007, the 15 watters, which are the ones that we're playing through today. Dave's going through the 15 watt combo. I'm going through the 15 watt head with a 2x12 cabinet. There is a single 12 cabinet available as well, and there's a couple of larger amps in the series, the 18/30.
That's the only 2-channel one in the range.
And the 45 as well. First thing to note, I suppose, of course, is that what you're hearing from the two amps and what you heard in the little bit that we played just before is that we've got my one, the head with the 2x12 cabinet, mic'd up with the standard old SM57. Dave's is actually coming through using one of the really nice features of these amps, which is an XLR recording output with an emulated speaker. And it does sound really, really good. Handy for either recording purposes or if you just want something to run through the PA at a gig. So really, really nice feature on both of those.
If you put it onto mute, which is sort of replacing the standby function, it will still give you the line out. And it is also very safe. You can actually use it without the speaker. Now, obviously, Dean's is not the one plugged into the recording out, but by switching it to this, you can actually unplug the speaker from the head, and it will work. So it basically means that if you need to be in a silent environment, but you need to have signal going to your desk or to your audio interface or whatever, it is totally possible to do that, and the emulated speaker output on it sounds really, really good.
Okay, so we'll take a step back and actually talk a bit about what the Bassbreaker amp series is about. And what it is it's a bit of an attempt to reclaim a bit of Fender's heritage. It's well known and well documented. The very, very first Marshall amplifiers that Jim Marshall made were very, very heavily influenced by the circuit design of Fender's Bassman. And so while all of the amps in this series aren't a clone of that circuit, they very, very much have that Bassman / very early Marshall flavour about them. So they're a bit more of a British tone, which Fender has probably quite rightly sort of said, well, we're going to have a bit of that action, and maybe it's a bit more of a British tone from Fender, but it does borrow heavily from their own design again. So you'll notice that maybe it's not quite as sparkly clean as you would normally expect from a Fender amp, but maybe a little bit more mid-range heavy, and at the same time probably breaks up in a bit more of a...
It's a bit more aggressive.
Yeah.
It's a lot darker. I think it's been said it's the first of any Fender amps to use the EL84 power tubes, because they were much more of a British thing, which is what gave the Marshalls their British sound. They couldn't get the same amps they were using, same valves, they were using in the Bassmans. So this is what Britain did, Marshall specifically did, in order to combat that problem, and it gave that sound. And Fender have decided that it's about time they got in on that market as well. So and that's what we've got here, and it's an incredibly versatile amp. It doesn't have the sort of incredibly sparkly cleans that you would expect from the Twin, but it does still sound like a Fender amp. Then when you crank it up, it becomes something else altogether.
Exactly, and that probably brings us to one of the really cool features that's specifically on this 15 watt here, is that it does have 3 switchable gain modes. So you've literally got a big control on the gain structure of the amp, and I'll put mine back to the first gain option, which gives you a lot cleaner sound from from the first option there. Probably more typically what you would expect from a Fender amplifier. Second position on that. And you've introduced a nice little bluesy sort of a drive to one of those just on the edge of breakup type sounds, which a lot of people like to use. And the third option is where the gain really gets up a bit and it gets, well, kind of rude, you know. It's got a nice amount of bite and drive to it. Really great for bluesy type lead tones and things like that. Very, very cool sound. So,
Dean and I are sort of deliberately using both sides of the guitar coin here. He's got his favourite Strat and I've got the Les Paul, which gives you the idea of basically what's different about the guitars through the amp. It's still a very, very sort of transparent amp, and the quality of the guitar really does affect the sound you get out of it. So if you've got a lot of guitars, this is the sort of amp that's going to give them all or let their independent voices show through.
Yeah. We should make mention that all of the amps in this series have Celestion speakers on board. Obviously the 15 watt combo there has a single 12-inch Celestion. The 2x12 cab I'm hooked up to has obviously two 12-inch Celestions. And that is a sort of semi-open back design. It's it's closed back but ported at the bottom, so it gives you that option. Whereas obviously the combo is a very open back design, so you've got some options there tonally that you can change with the speaker.
It still fills the room like a Fender amp will, but at the same time, it does give you that sort of rich low end that you would sort of expect from a much more Marshall sounding.
And all of those speakers are enclosed in a birch ply cabinet on the 15 watters. I think the 007 doesn't have the birch ply, but the 15,
everything up from there does. So the other thing is the 15 also has a reverb in it. Now it isn't a typical vintage Fender style spring reverb. They've decided not to go with that because of the gain.
If I just go back to a bit more of a cleaner sound and find where the reverb is here, so you can hear. So it's maybe not the typical, really, really slappy spring reverb, but a really nice reverb just the same on board all of those. It's more of a, I think it's actually on their marketing material, a hall reverb that they're using for that one, but a really good sound just the same. So
I suppose the other thing we should mention is it's also got a bright switch.
Yes, I just put that in for that last one, so you can hear the reverb a little bit better on that one. So so that's the basic roundup of the Bassbreaker 15. I suppose the only thing left to do is maybe let you hear them in action a little bit again. So. So thanks for watching. It's Dave here, and my name's Dean, and we're from Somerset Music. And you can come in store or check out the Bassbreaker amps online at somersetmusic.com.au. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.